Hi, I'm Faraz Khan, and welcome to Drag and Drop Low Code Unplugged, the podcast where we explore the game changing impact of low code in software development. Join me in insightful conversations with IT leaders and passionate low code enthusiasts who are at the forefront of this digital evolution. Together, we'll explore how early adoption of low code is giving businesses a competitive edge on a global scale. We'll discuss its impact on software development, dissect its role in transforming businesses, and uncover the ways in which it's reshaping career trajectories. So whether you're a seasoned IT professional or a curious enthusiast, be sure to tune in as we share success stories and unravel the mysteries of low code. Subscribe now and stay tuned for a front row seat to the revolution that's shaping the future of technology. So let's go. Hi Sneh, how are you?
Hi, Farad. I'm good, thanks.
That's very good. Thank you for agreeing to be a guest. It's nice to have you on.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I thought for a while I would invite you, so I think the timing is good, to ask you. Usually when I ask people in person, they don't say no because they've got really no choice to, they have to just kind of say yes. So I'm glad you agreed.
Well, if you didn't ask me, I would come to you to tell you, hey, we need to talk about this.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I think, most people know you in the OutSystems ecosystem, but it'd be good to kind of know a bit about you, your background, who you are, outside of the OutSystems world.
Sure. Going very, back in time, I actually have a master's degree in psychology. So psychology is by vocation, but I never work in that area. My career was always focused on, at the beginning, on HR. And then when I started working for the organizations like UN, EU agencies, Council of Europe, kind of what I was doing switched to program management, and it was always related to education, to programs that were dealing with e-learning or global development education. And it was very much focused on the impact that creates in the society. So I realized that probably one of the things I would like to do has to do with education, with the social impact. But in those type of institutions, while they create a huge impact, right? Because their whole mandate is about supporting society and doing good things. They're also very bureaucratic, very slow. Everything happens, everything is very also political. So I was a bit annoyed with all that friction. I was like, I have to go to the private sector and try to do something there. And that's where the OutSystems came. And I was like, okay, let's try here. And being at the time a startup and the organization that was growing, it was very easy for me to suggest things and to say, hey, why don't we do this? Or let's try something related to education. And then I grew into my role becoming a community growth manager, but also social impact manager. And like Miguel Baltazar, my boss, likes to say, Sneh does this on the side. It's not her real job, right? But it is actually,
Yeah.
it is my real job. It is what I'm passionate about. It is what I care about. It is where I think it's important. So social impact, community growth, everything related to education, to changing lives, or at least empowering people to be able to change their lives, to improve their careers, is definitely something that I find that I have a strong influence and that I like to do.
Yeah. And, like you said, obviously starting out systems, being kind of a startup, they were open to the idea of the things you wanted to do. Did you feel, is that adopted in Portugal everywhere, or was it kind of new to them even when you suggested it? Were they kind of like, okay, well, this is your idea, you drive it, but we'll kind of go with what you lead by.
Yeah, it was good because it was exactly like that. It was like, okay, try, fail fast, iterate, do new things. But let's see. And a lot of things that we did when it comes to training, when it comes to education, social impact has been ad hoc. So, something happens and we react to it because we had ability to very fast react. The low code is like that. So like if it's a crisis moment, you can actually create something really fast. And the whole mentality or mindset in our systems is like that. Like, let's do something fast. Let's see what is the impact and we can iterate on that. So definitely there was a space and opportunity to suggest things, lead them, and see how they become programs or slowly die, depending on the impact they created. But a lot of things actually, moved through and became important programs.
Mm. And can you talk me through some of the key initiatives you have for social impact within OutSystems and kind of how that's aligning with the company overall?
Of course. So we have for many years, at least I'm in the system for 6 years. So I remember that when I started, for example, there was a pandemic, and we created a community response program in one day. It was Sunday. Someone said, we should do something. So we joined people, like someone was calling everyone, like, do you want to participate? And I'm like, it's Sunday afternoon. Okay. We put the page, we decide what to do. Someone called Paolo said, yeah, go for it. And on Monday, we had the full running program to help support initiatives that were related to pandemic. Moving on next year, we were like, okay, let's try to do a hackathon. So we did a hackathon related to that. Also supporting nonprofits, seeing what we can do. I only decided to include 15 teams because this is not going to be huge, but actually became. And then every year we do a hackathon, and every year we have more and more teams. Like last year we had almost 80 teams participating, 400 developers. That's a lot. And I like to say, one of the things what do they gain for it? Well, they get a lot of good karma because there is nothing else. They give their time. They offer their skills. They work on like very, high level projects for a week. And then some of them win, some of them don't, although I always say they're all winners. And every year they want to participate. It's for good karma. It's for, giving back to the society. It's just amazing. So the hackathon became our really important annual event. And it's happening this year again in September. One of also important things about hackathon, apart from focusing on social impact, apart from helping nonprofits, is also the fact that we can always put our developers to work on the new features of the product, which we did with ODC last year with AI Agent Builder. And this year probably is going to be Mentor and some really cool stuff. We are bringing new features that we are going to bring. I don't think I'm allowed to talk about it, but soon. And then what you ask, how that's aligned with what OutSystem does. But one of our taglines was give every organization power to innovate. And if you think about that, there are organizations that might not be able to afford to have a software to help them innovate, either because they don't have financial resources, also because they don't have human resources, because a lot of small nonprofits don't even have an IT department. And that's where we come and we say, okay, let's support, let's provide a license. Our amazing community is going to give skills and build those applications. And that's how it's aligned with the whole, let's say, philosophy of the OutSystems. Another thing is that, like I said, we've been doing a lot of ad hoc things, and now we actually have a program that's called Digital Volunteers Program, and the hackathon makes part of it. And in Digital Volunteers Program, we support nonprofit by providing licenses, and digital volunteers are actually our community members that volunteer their skills and help those nonprofits. Right now, we have around 23 nonprofits onboarded, and this year the plan is to onboard at least 5 more. So, and that usually happens through the hackathon motion.
Yeah, and can you tell me, a few kind of over the years success stories out of the organizations and nonprofits that you've helped that have really kind of as you say changed lives?
Yeah, well, I think I know every single use case and nonprofit by heart, so it's very difficult to choose. But I think one that really stood out is the Nelson Mandela University from South Africa that started as a part of our education program. And then they were like, oh, we have this application we would like to do. So we're like, oh, do you want to participate in the hackathon? We're going to bring a partner to help you. And they built an application that was dedicated to raising awareness about cancer in rural Africa. So the application that was created, first of all, was available in multiple languages. So it was very inclusive, considering, in Africa, there is a lot of, especially in South Africa, a lot of languages. It had ability, text to speech, making sure that even the literacy in that case is not a problem. It had options to be offline because of the connectivity issues. So really, it made a lot of different things to be adjusted to the reality. This application won an innovation award from OutSystems. It got award for one of the best UX application with the best UX. Then they also, right now, they don't even have a partner. They have 7 OutSystems developers that they bring from the university that are working with them and just keep growing. And the impact that they're creating there is just amazing. And it's just, like I say, it's just few lines of code or few drag and drops around,
exactly.
to make that difference.
And it's great that, like you said, an idea from the pandemic, where you just kind of scrambled on a Sunday, which is now kind of an annual thing, where it's pushing, and it's great that, whenever the community comes together, you can see how passionate everyone is and willing to kind of, and I see on LinkedIn, when the hackathon kind of announced, there's a lot of posts around it and big interest when,
people love it.
They love it, right? They're putting their own time in to do it, but it's also, if you've got a talent and you can kind of give back, that's something, really, really rewarding, at the end of it. And like you said, everyone's winners. Okay, there is a winner at the end, but everybody's done something for someone in that process.
Exactly. No, none of this would work without our community. People who make OutSystems community are actually the wheel behind all of this, because we can throw as much money if we want on those things, or, give the best products. But if there are no people who are passionate about it and want to work about it. So what our community has, and I always say it's one of the most important things, they're the best in this area. They have the skills that no one else has, right? When it comes to OutSystems, when it comes to low code. And then they have opportunity to do what they are good at, to give back, to do something good. And another thing that we also realize, like I said, we always iterate, we always learn, is that we allow them to bring nonprofits they want to support. So we don't impose, right? So and so that relationship, because there is a lot of them who already volunteer in some organization or know someone, and then they're like, we would really like to help them. They do everything in spreadsheets. So, if you put an application for them, it actually is going to make a lot of impact. So they bring their passion, they bring their skills and time, and really it wouldn't be possible. But that's why it's digital volunteers. That's why it's like a community, holding this program and bringing it forward.
Yeah. And what's the feedback from the, obviously they'd be very appreciative, but from the organizations who, get something built, and obviously low code is speed. So they're probably, I don't know, not everyone still knows about low code, or they're skeptic of low code, or they might not believe the speed side of things. What's the feedback on kind of getting something done for them? And then, there must be a wow factor, coming all the time.
There is. They're always surprised with the fact how quick things can be built. That it can actually solve their problem, because they always think it's going to be very complex. It's going to take a lot of resources. But then because the low code, like you said, can build things fast and then also change them fast, it's very surprising. And then just taking out all that manual work, right? Automating things, bringing technology to it could be very simple things, but in the life of those people, it means who work for the nonprofit, it means that instead of filling in million spreadsheets, they can actually dedicate their time to their mission, right? So the feedback has been amazing. And we even have nonprofits that even though, like I said, they don't have IT departments. Usually, it's our community that supports. They come with the new ideas. They realize, like, okay, if we can do this, then we should build up and think about even something better. So they go forward and move on and think about new things. So it also helps them to be innovative, to be better in what they're doing. So the feedback is just amazing. I wish we can do that for everyone.
And I think that's another kind of, thing that, we spoke about the speed. Another thing that, low code is sold on is bringing business and IT together, right? So what you're kind of saying is these people are not technical. They start thinking about, once they see the power of the platform and the speed, they're like, oh, actually, we could do so many other ideas can come out of it, right? And multiple things can
Yes.
be built.
Yes. And now imagine what is possible with Mentor. That you can simply, that's one of the things I want to try now for hackathon, and actually maybe have nonprofits build their first idea with a mentor, and then the teams actually try to implement it, because I think it can be very powerful. Sometimes it's very difficult to convey the message of what you want to do, but you were there alone in your office and you just write down a nice prompt and it appears. It might actually be something that can work for them. So there is a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah, I think definitely, like with now Mentor kind of coming into the mix. I think it's from discussions I've had with other people. They kind of say it's kind of bringing back the citizen development style thing again, where you can have less experience and really, okay, probably not go full scale, but you can start building something. You can turn a simple idea into something really fast, right? So it can really allow non-profits to play around with things and then get people involved, the experts later, to kind of build it out.
Yeah, I think it can be a very good tool for those initial ideas, right? And seeing what it can done, because a lot of time people don't know what they want.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
That's
And
true.
then if you actually have opportunity to check things and then see them immediately how they work, and you say, oh, that's not what I wanted, right? Actually, I was thinking about something different, and they can actually do a lot of experiments and check the things that they want and learn from that, and then give it to the developers and say, this is what we want, just better, right?
Of course.
Or bigger or more complex. But it will really give that power to innovate to everyone, because you just need to be good in writing prompts or knowing what you want.
Yeah. And you mentioned obviously 2025 hackathon potentially in Mentor. Don't know how much more you can share about what other initiatives the community can look forward to for 2025 that OutSystems will be driving.
Well, the hackathon is a big thing. So that's something that always takes a lot of time, just to prepare and put together. What I can say is that definitely we're having some really amazing features that are going to be available for Odyssey at the time. So it's going to be very interesting to test, and probably the people who are going to be the first ones to test it are going to be people from the hackathon. So, that's also one of the things that we always try to put there. On a different note, one of the things that really makes me happy is that our Women Plus user groups is flourishing. So last year we started the Women Plus user group as a place for women and everyone who want to empower women in the technology to be part, to bring value to it. And it was led by OutSystems, but actually now we have three amazing ladies from the communities that are leading the user group, and they're planning a lot of interesting events for the whole year. So that's going to be very nice. And it's also something very close to my heart, because I really think that these type of initiatives are important. Another also related to that is the local ladies community that also was born last year, and it's really community of low code ladies. So we go beyond platforms, and I'm part of the committee along with some amazing women from Mendix, from Power Apps. So we are, doing doing what we have, or taking what we have and doing what we are best at to bring ideas, technology, advices, empowerment to the women who are looking into tech, looking into low code, or just having some challenges that can and they can learn from someone else in their experience.
That's amazing. Yeah, when because obviously I've interviewed some people from Low Code Ladies, as you know, and when I saw the post announcing you, I thought, oh wow, like, because usually these groups are created within platforms, right? And they usually don't go outside of that. So it's great to see a group that's kind of the low code umbrella, and you're all kind of adding your experience within, your own platforms, and coming together and really driving that, and not kind of thinking, well, you're blue, I'm red, no chance, I'm not gonna join,
Yeah, we don't think in terms of
Yeah.
colors, in
Yeah.
terms of
Yeah.
platforms. It's really about empowering women. It's really about helping more women get into tech. Whatever they choose to whichever platform they choose, it's still a win, because we help them get into the tech. We help them maybe change their career, improve their career, and so on. So it's that thing of having a higher goal. It's not all about profit. It's not all about the business. There are also some things that help business, but are related to some good doing.
Yeah, yeah. And being part of these groups and someone who's kind of driving, these initiatives, is there, any common kind of, barriers that, why I want to kind of focus on more women guests this year, and kind of outline, the barriers they go through. Is there any common barriers that you see that's something that's just not going away? It's constant. It's something that, even though there's awareness and things like that, is there barriers that just seem to just continue?
Well, I think one of the biggest things. I'm not necessarily a woman in tech, because I'm not a developer, but
Yeah.
I am within the tech world.
Tech, yeah.
One of the things that as a woman I feel is there's still a lack of representation and role models. So this is definitely something, and like Low Code Ladies or the Women Plus user group is exactly that, putting those faces up front, making sure they're seen and they're heard, because you can't be what you can't see, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to do that. And I think in OutSystems community, it's amazing that we don't only put women up front, but we actually have them. When I look at our community, we have amazing stories for women who changed their career, improved their career, who are CEOs of the companies, who are MVPs, champions, trainers, a leading user group. So it's and then when I look at the initiatives that are done, like we have a lot of initiatives in India and Pakistan, also in UK. There is some initiatives here in Portugal. They are all led by men, meaning that it's not that we need women to lead this. We actually have very good allies. We have a very strong community that recognize the need to be stronger by bringing more people and more diverse backgrounds. Another barrier, so role models, and really putting all type of faces out there, saying that we can all do it. Another thing that I feel is the opportunities and access, right? So we a lot of time people ask, so what are you doing for women? How are you organized? I was like, well, I think the question should be other way around. What are women actually doing for our community? And then if you look at that, we know that if we have more diverse community, more diverse workforce, we can be more innovative, more creative, create a sense of belonging. The whole system works better. Then if you have more women, for example, one of the first softwares for voice recognition could not recognize the female voice, because they were used, they were basically testing everything with male voices. So bringing more women or more diversity also helps in having less biased products, or products that are more inclusive and available to more people. So, there is a lot of things that we forget. It's not about what we are doing for those groups. It's what they are bringing to and it's practical. Like women make 50% or more of the humanities.
Yeah.
It's just natural to have them in all areas. And then it's practical because first of all, if you are in technology, you have a product, and if you think about all kind of groups, then you have more users for that. If you are an employer looking for talent, you benefit from having a larger talent pool. So it's really, it's not what we do for them, it's what they do for us. And then if we change that narrative, then, all of the things we do just become natural.
Yeah. And, the whole kind of women in tech thing, do you feel low code lowers the kind of barrier for women to get into technology? Because obviously the ease of learning, but also, like you said, and I've interviewed people as well who come from total random backgrounds, and you wouldn't expect them to now be working in technology, right? And they've now come and then you see their growth of how they grow, they get involved with the support of your team and their overall community, so that barrier kind of is a bit lower than, going from a total different, strange background to learning how to code and really kind of drowning sometimes, where, that's my opinion. I'm interested to kind of, you speak to people all the time. Would you agree on that?
I think there are two things. I'm not sure they're lowering because if you look at the women who are in the low code, they're developers. So they're good. So if they, maybe it's about the time, you need to get to the value or to good skills. But it's also because low code for a long time was that thing that the developers didn't want to get into, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of were not forced, but you wanted to bring more people, and you were like, okay, we can give opportunities to those who maybe don't have the skills to have. So it's again about opportunity and giving access to everyone. And I really, and I know that I think even Paolo mentioned, we have a hypnotherapist. She moved her career. Actually, I did an interview with her, and I was like, this is amazing story because, and I don't think it's just low code. I think you can do that. And if you're looking to the technology, you see more and more people getting into technology because it gives you a lot of flexibility. And that's also with the low code. You can work remotely. You can learn. You don't need to go to formal ways of learning, right? You can do it online. You can do it through different type of classes. So it's really about access and opportunities more than maybe having lower entry level or things like that. That's at least what I feel about it, because I also don't want to feel that you couldn't get to developers, so you went to the low code, because I don't think that's the case. I think it's about opportunity, and then the fact that within the low code you can grow faster, because the development and everything you learn, it's much faster, right? Then you also learn and you will progress faster in the area.
Yeah. And, in your groups, in regards to kind of more kind of new people coming in, what type of, advice would you kind of, or common questions come up and advice would you give to, women starting early in their career, or their switchers, and, skepticism or things they're kind of worried about entering the low code community?
What I tell them is the same I would tell to me when I think I can't do something or I'm in front of something new, or what I would tell to my niece is just do it. Like you've done scarier things, you've been braver than this. If you invest your time, if you keep on being educated and work on what you want to achieve, I mean, there is really no reason to not succeed in that. So it's a lot about mindset, right? I don't think, and then obviously giving that access to, so for example, a low code or any other technology, there is so many free options to learn. So you can really do that thing of trying out, seeing if it's for you. If it's not, move on, fail fast, learn from it, iterate, and then do something different. And the worst thing that can happen is that you fail. But when you fail, you learn something, maybe it's not for you, or maybe you have to do it differently and you move on. So I mean, just throwing yourself into things, it's scary, but it's the only way to learn. Like I always think about, it's a different thing, but like today I speak fluent Portuguese, and when I moved to Portugal years ago, I speak zero, and I couldn't learn if I didn't throw myself. I made a million mistakes, and even today people joke with me about ridiculous things I said, but it makes part. And today I'm like fluent in Portuguese, so I really don't care about mistakes. It made me what I am today. So making mistakes is only natural and normal. And I think we need to try and learn from that and move on. So that's what I would always say to women. Just do it. There is really no reason for you to not succeed if you put an effort in it and you want to do it.
Yeah, definitely. With the mistakes, it's how you react, right? You could either kind of let it push you down, or you can, like you with the Portuguese, keep going and eventually prove everyone wrong. So it's definitely down to the individual sometimes of how much they're willing to kind of invest and put into it.
It has its investment. That's important. You need to, like, whatever you want to do, especially when it comes to technology, especially if you're moving from other area that is not connected to it, you need to put effort. But the good thing is that there's so many people that want to help. So for example, I just mentioned there are at least 2 groups of women that want to help. I know there is so many mentors in the OutSystems community that are available also to support. And they don't need, like, I think also sometimes for women, but also not only for them, it's not only about technical skills, it's also about how you negotiate your salary, when you can actually ask for a promotion, right? So all those kind of things, like, there's so many people out there who've been through that and can teach you. So just, make sure that you have good allies, make sure you have mentors, make sure you have a good group. And that's what communities are for. And that's why I love the power that community brings to individuals.
Yeah, I think definitely there's a lot of support in people, and even like your mentorship program, there's so many women taking part in that, right? So I think if you go back 10, 15 years, there was nothing like that, right? So it's very different now, where even if your own network is small, you can reach out to so many people, and the OutSystems community being so supportive, not just from OutSystems directly, but the extension of the other developers is great, and can really kind of, not just women, I think juniors and people switching and changing and worried. There's so many, everyone can relate to someone else's journey, right? And get that help, which is really great to see.
Yeah. And exactly what you said. And with the technology and with the globalization and, everything being available, you just have more and more, like you said, like before you actually had to go to someone physically and ask them for help. Now, there are no limits. You can have a mentor from India or from US, or, it can be your neighbor. But you can actually much easily get access to those resources that you need, and there is really no excuse nowadays.
Exactly.
I think if you want to learn something,
and
there is no excuse to not do it. And like you said, for example, one of my favorite, my brother has been working in the customs as a custom officer, and today he's OutSystems developer. Actually today, like for the past, I don't know, 5 years, because he was one of those people. He was like, I really want to go into tech. He was learning on his own, and then he decided, when I started working for OutSystems, he decided to try it out, and today he's happy OutSystems developer. And I might not have to do much with that. It was just, again, the access and the awareness, and that also exists, that actually helped him get into it. So he's one of my success stories.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's very good. That's it's great to have such a success story so close to you, right? So it's kind of, you just starting at the
possible,
company,
right? That's also that thing of, was it, because I was also new to OutSystems at the time. Will he be successful? And then when I see, how satisfied he is with his career, I'm like, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's great. That's a very good story. I need to interview him one day about his journey, definitely.
Yeah, he's not ready for spotlight.
We'll leave it to you. Okay.
But he's right.
And obviously, social impact, something that's kind of, you're really passionate about. outside of OutSystems, are you involved in any other initiatives to kind of help drive that? Obviously you've got the low code kind of ladies and things like that, but outside of the low code space, is there anything you're involved with?
Yeah. So when I will going to do the long way to
Yeah,
answer
sure,
this
sure,
question,
sure.
just because I think it's important.
Yeah,
I really believe that when you want to do something, and I spoke a lot of time about that, it's for the company, but also for the
yeah,
individual. You
yeah,
need to realize where you can create the most of impact. So, for example, asking yourself what the world needs, and I don't mean the world, it's like your community, your family,
yeah,
the place
yeah,
where you're at, what you're good at,
yeah,
so what are the skills you can bring that that others can benefit from. And then third, also, what are your values, what you care about, because let's face it, if you go to collect garbage on the beach but don't really care about environmental issues, that's probably not going to go a
yeah,
long way, and
yeah,
it's not going to make you very happy. So finding those three things is very important. So one of the things I found is I want to help my local community. So I'm from Serbia. I live in Portugal. I live in Lisbon, and I think it's very important to create impact. So I found a nonprofit which is dealing with the families, local income families, and provide food and some other resources. So I dedicate at least 4 hours per week
oh,
to go
amazing.
there and support, to be there, to prepare the boxes of food,
Mm.
deliver to the families. Also, it's a good reality check. Just yesterday, I was telling to someone, going and working with us, because we live in our bubbles, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
it's very difficult to understand the other realities. So
yeah,
that's also a good thing to see
yeah,
that you are privileged, you have a
yeah,
lot of things that other people don't. So use that privilege for, to help others. So that's one of the things I do. And then that thing of being good at something, I've been in HR for a long time, and I did a lot of recruitment. So I kind of like to support young people or those like looking for a job, and give them
yeah,
some advices about how to prepare for interview, how to prepare their CVs, because sometimes it's very difficult and
yeah.
scary if you're doing it for the first time, or if you didn't do it for a long
Mm.
time. So that's also something I like to offer, because I've been on the other side. So I know like what you should
Of course.
avoid, what you
Yeah,
should and things
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So those are type of things that I'm good at and I want to do. And I think it's important. Involving yourself in your local community is a great way. For example, now I have friends I would never meet in life,
yeah,
because
yeah,
we are from such a different,
yeah.
walks of the lives that we would never meet. But now we are friends, and we work together on the things we believe in, and it's also rewarding.
I guess, with those things, it's great because, like you said, it's people you probably never would have met. And in that environment, no one's above no one. You're all kind of one
Yeah,
level trying to do good, right? And give back. And it's great that, it's something that you're so passionate about, that, obviously when like you said, if you're not passionate about it, you won't have the effort level will be half, right? So the fact that, you're driving this type of stuff in your day to day, but also outside is a real kind of added value. And it's nice to see that, you're just doing something you really enjoy. You're not kind of forced and it's on your own, right? So, which
yeah.
is really great.
It's important. It's important to do something you believe in, and then, like you said, you meet people, meet new realities or different realities, and then also that brings like providing or finding sources of food for these families, like I said, also help you think about your food waste, or what
Yeah,
things you are
yeah,
doing. Or for example, I know those families might need clothes or things, so from time to time you just declutter and you think, okay,
yeah,
this is going to be very useful for these
yeah,
families, or things like that. So you create all this circular thing of not wasting, or being able to help other families. And even if it's just, like I always said, even if you impact one life, it's huge,
yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
If you manage to change. So I think it's really worth it. I think we all should, dedicate a couple of hours just to do something that we are passionate about, and then they can also turn out to be good for other people or for the community.
And like you said about the, wasting and things like that, it's quite, something I believe kind of, people who kind of don't, people easily kind of just put their food in the bin, right? And not really think much about it, where actually things we might not appreciate is always appreciated by someone else. There's always someone out there that will appreciate something that you might think, well, this t-shirt doesn't fit, I'm just going to get rid of it, So it's really important to think about those things and think about, giving back. And, that my family's from Fiji, right? So when I go there, I've had someone ask me for socks, right? And that's like, you think, why would you ask me? Just because it's got a tick on it, they want the socks, where you think, oh, it's not a big deal, but for them, it's like, it's secondhand socks, but they don't care, right? They're like, this is great for us. So it's really nice to see, the things you're doing on that space. And obviously, people don't know really kind of what you're doing outside. So it's great to kind of hear that and know you're,
and I like to think of myself, because I like to bring to people, say, you can do it so easy. It's so easy. Like you said, a t-shirt, a pair of socks, it's so easy. Just in November, my in-laws, they have a lot of chestnuts. So we always end up with like kilos of chestnuts, which I usually bring to the office, and a lot of colleagues have it. And then last year I was like, let's do a twist. So I brought like, I don't know, around 10 kilos of chestnuts, and was like, you can bring whatever you want, but you need to leave a small donation, whatever you think it's worth. And then we are going to buy Christmas presents for those families I work with, for the kids.
That's very nice.
And believe it or not, the chestnuts were very valuable. We managed to collect 200 euros from 10
wow.
kilos.
Amazing. That's really good.
Yeah. And we bought, I think it was around presents for around 5 or 6 children. Very good presents, because you had money. So that was, and then, everyone were like sending me pictures of the chestnuts, saying, chestnuts are so delicious, especially knowing that actually we contribute to something good in the meantime. So it's very easy to you just need to be creative. It's very easy to do good, and to inspire others actually to do that with you.
No, that's amazing. We need more snails in the world, definitely.
There's a lot of snails.
It's that mindset, it's the mindset, right? It's educating the mindset in people.
We're all snails. That's like that. Because I did one webinar, and I remember I asked people, how many of you changed the world? And like no one said. I was like, and then when I finished, I talk about these small things. I was like, so how many of you changed the world? And then like at least half of them were like, well, we did some kind of these things, and we have power to change the world. And that's what I always said. That's what drives me. That's what I think. We all have power to change the world, even if it's, on a very, very small scale. Like I said, changing one life, it's still a huge thing to do.
A big thing. Yeah. No, really great. And, finally, if you could make, one change, in the tech industry, in regards to social impact, what would that be? Is there something that, maybe, grinds on you that kind of you see all the time, and if you could, you change it?
Yeah. Well, I think that more and more everyone are recognizing the importance of social impact, of giving back. We have a lot of things now about also sustainability, ESG, so that as in the ESG is social. So, it's being important. But what I would like to see, especially in the tech industry, is that social impact becomes a long-term program rather than a short-term investment, right? Because we do a lot of small things. Like I said, we started with a one-off thing to help in the in the pandemic. Then another small thing. So actually having and dedicating a part of the budget, to do that and to have a long-term investment, that's what's going to make impact. That's one thing probably won't or will, but just for that short period of time. But if you invest, and that's why, like I said, from something that was, let's try to support people in crisis or when crisis comes, we actually created a program that can always have people. So when crisis comes, we have a motion to support, but we can also do that on the long run and on an everyday basis. So I think that's one of the things, seeing social impact as a long-term investment, as something that is important to do, rather than those small one-off things that, of course, they bring effect. But I think that long-term vision is better. Also, to create that expectations that was doing, because if you do once and then someone comes and says, "Oh, we need a license," or "We want this," we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But do you feel some businesses maybe look at it as just a box tick rather than, like you said, kind of long term? They'll do the one thing to kind of tick those boxes that they need to, but it's not really part of the strategy and the ongoing kind of mission for the businesses.
Definitely. There is a lot of that because, like I said, there are like new EU directives that you have to report on certain things and so on. Even in US, there are, certain things changing in certain states. So yeah, there is a lot of ticky boxes, but in social impact is important. And I always say, and I'm passionate about it, it's important to do, but it has to be related to the business. It has to be connected somehow to the revenue, to the profit, because bottom line, you are a for-profit organization, right? So you do good, but you make sure it's aligned with the business goals, it's aligned, and that's how you get the high-level sponsorships, that's how you get the budget, that's how you justify all of the efforts, because you create you have to know what is the return of investment of that, right? And that's one of the things that I've been working really hard last year, and now making sure that we have that. So we do something good, how that comes back to us, how that helps our business. And while it seems very, capitalist, but that's true. I mean, bottom line, your organization works for profit. So we need to find a way to link it, while still knowing that doing good and doing social impact is important, because we are privileged and we can, and because we care most of the time.
Amazing. Well, it was great to talk to you. Thank you, Sneh. It was great to kind of hear what you're doing, OutSystems, low code, women, just outside of even on your outside of work, so I think it's quite inspiring, and I think a different conversation to my usual ones, which is really great. It's kind of less focused on the technology, but also focused on what the technology can do for other people, but also what people can do for other people. So I really appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you for having me. This was a great talk, and I could talk for another 3 hours. So we need another episode.
Okay, definitely. We'll do it again for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sneh. Take care.